Hello, friends, and welcome to episode number 98 of Nostalgia Talk. I'm James, and joining me this time around is Katie Griffin.
Hi, everyone.
Not to be confused with Kathy Griffin, just for the record.
And I do get confused by people. Anyway, it's a whole thing, but I'm always confused. People think I'm Kathy Griffin all the time.
All right. Well, for anybody who doesn't know, or for anybody who thinks that I'm talking to Kathy Griffin, Katie Griffin is a voice actress who is best known as the English dub of Sailor Mars in Sailor Moon. She did Ruby for a single season on Max and Ruby. She was in Totally Spies, Bakugan, Beyblade, Team Galaxy, Care Bears, and Braceface, among many other animation and live action projects.
Yeah, thanks. I was. That's a really good intro.
Well, thank you. Just keep in mind, I've done that 98 times for many different people. So how did you first become interested in acting in general?
Well, I knew I was going to be an actor at a very young age. I was in the play Oliver when I was 8 years old, and I knew I could sing and dance and do all that fun stuff. And then in high school, I was in a local play, and got kind of noticed by an agent, and that's how it all started for me. Voice acting was a whole different ball game. It was completely by accident, a happy accident. But
Okay.
I was actually dating the original Tuxedo Mask, Reno Romano, and
Oh,
what? And he had already been cast as Tuxedo Mask, and I knew he was doing a lot of voice work. And he talked me into auditioning, and and I hesitated. I was like, no, I'm an on-camera actor. This is silly, Reno. And then he was like, but you are Ray. I had long hair, long black hair, and I was training Kung Fu, and I kind of looked like Ray, because this was like, also remember, 100 years ago when we did this. So I auditioned and I got it, and I never looked back. So Sailor Moon was my introduction into the universe of voiceover, and it was the best thing that ever happened, because that's what I do.
so you said that you did school plays before getting into the business. Was your first ever gig that animated show, or did you have on-camera gigs before that?
Yeah, no, I was working in the industry, so I was doing
Okay.
a lot of film and television, a lot of Canadian shows. You're a Canadian boy, right? You're from the East Coast.
East Coast boy. Yep.
Let's go, East Coast. Well, anyway, so I am here in Toronto because I'm a Canadian girl. I was filming. I was doing quite well. And it was so that's what was happening, and a lot of television commercials and the rest of it. And then so I was working in the industry prior to voice work. So yeah.
Nice. So what was it like for you to do Sailor Mars? Because I can imagine that, because it's not, in your case, a local project, you were just doing the overdub. I've seen anime before, like I've seen Spirited Away. I've watched Sailor Moon. We have a goddaughter who was obsessed with Sailor Moon. There's a Sailor Moon channel on Pluto TV that I actually watched a little bit of getting ready for this. And I can imagine that doing the overdub for that is really, really hard. Because as I was watching Spirited Away, I thought to myself, okay, yeah, I get it that it wasn't produced in America, but they've got the American, or should I say North American rather, actors dubbing the lines. But they have to follow along with it. And usually it's off sync. So what was that like for you?
So it was chaos, to be
I
quite
can
honest.
imagine.
It was pure chaos, especially for me, because I hadn't done anything voiceover related before. So for me, because I've done a lot of original animation since, so Sailor Moon was it was essentially karaoke, but picture it back in my day, back in the 90s, it was on something called the Rhythma Band. And it was, so picture karaoke when you're watching, the screen, and the lyrics come up and it changes color, and it's actually quite easy to see. We had handwritten lines, by someone who was Parisian, like she was French, or I'm pretty sure she was the one that was writing them out. So her handwriting was like crazy. I couldn't understand it half the time. And it would scroll across. This is the Rhythmaband. The words would scroll across and hit a margin. And as soon as the margin hit, that's when we would talk.
The words would scroll, the margin wouldn't scroll?
No. So it was chaos. So we would watch the original Japanese anime. We would watch that scene or that segment, which is insane as well, because for everything we say in English, they have 5 billion extra words. You know, it just sounds like if I said, "How are you? How are you, James?" It would be, it would just go on and on and on. So they had to, I don't know. I don't even know.
I can imagine how hard that must have been to trim it too. In editing.
It was, yeah. And to top it off, we didn't get scripts ahead of time. So we had no concept I had no idea what was going on ever. I was sometimes recording episode 4, sometimes 7 and 4 were together. So I knew who Ray was. I knew who the relationship between Serena and Ray. I knew all of that, but I didn't know storylines. I actually thought I was going to end up with Darian. I don't know why. The show's called Sailor Moon, not Sailor Mars, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, it was chaos. We would watch a bit. We had no idea what was going on. It was fast and furious. Apparently, they had to ship the episode we would record the very next day to go to broadcast. So
oh my God.
That's how chaotic it was. And as far as acting and intention and all the rest of it, it kind of wasn't about that. For me, it was more, I knew who she was. I knew what her personality was. So that was okay. It took a while to ease into it. But then it was more about lining up making sense of what was happening and matching what their lip flaps were doing and their eyes and their gestures. And again, we didn't have any idea what was going on. So we would
That's so weird because usually they would have or at least that's what I was picturing, was an English interpreter who would be able to translate it, and then it would be written down into the script. But no, they just give it to you. Like, this is the line that you're going to be saying right now. That's talk about chaos. Preparation. Yeah,
I know. And
I wasn't thinking chaos. I was thinking being prepared.
Being prepared too. That was a whole other thing. So that said, and I'll just to further that, it would be Ray. It would be all the Sailor Scouts. They would be written in different colors, but it would be all together. So now not only are you following this crazy handwritten line, you're looking for your color as it goes across. Sometimes I'd be yellow, which is random. It should be red or purple, but whatever.
So the color was never consistent?
No, it was never consistent. And so it was on a technical level for a voice actor. It was actually probably a really great thing for me. And maybe that's what got me, I don't know. I don't know, because it's totally different than original animation, where I would do the script and have so much freedom, and then they draw my character afterwards. It's so much fun. But Sailor Moon, I don't know. I feel like we all develop these hardcore skills where, it's go time. What are you made of? Acting, following, technical, all the rest of it, because the cast, everyone that, we're all working actors that have done quite well. So I think Sailor Moon prepared us, because it was so, I don't know, high stakes in a weird way, even though, we got paid next to nothing because it was dubbing, and original animation pays way more. But it was a really great experience if you're an actor, because I don't know, you just hunker down and see what you're made of, I guess.
So was that kind of also the case with Totally Spies, which of course was a French show originally? Was it like that for all these other projects that you've done dubbing for as well, or was it done a little differently?
No, Totally Spies was original for us. We didn't have to watch anything.
Okay.
It was actually super fun. I loved Totally Spies so much. I miss my girls, Andrea Baker. I miss Jennifer Hale. She's a Canadian girl too.
Yeah, I'm going to be seeing her in a couple of weeks. She's coming to HalCon.
Oh, I wish I was going there. Talk to someone. Get me out there. I would love that. Although I'm kind of busy. I don't know when that one is, but
It's no November 8th through 10th.
Well, if you talk to anybody, I am around that weekend. So is Linda Ballantyne, who was Sailor Moon. So just throwing it out there.
If anybody from HalCon is listening, just a little tip there.
Just listening. You could get Moon and Mars. And we would love to do that because it's East Coast, and I would see Jennifer Hale. All kinds of awesome things. So I don't even know what I was saying because I got distracted there.
Sorry, we were talking about Totally Spies.
Oh yeah. It was such a fun show. That said, I also, because we worked so hard on that show and we did, I don't know, those were long sessions. And Scott's up here and she has a really, really high voice that I developed vocal nodules, which are basically calluses. So I had to get a steroid injection and yeah. Ooh. So, I mean, it was a tough show to do, but it was also one of my favorites. I miss those girls so much. Jennifer Hale, Andrea, I miss you. Because now they're doing it again, but it's not us. They're dubbing, and they didn't get the original cast.
Oh, mean. I saw something online recently casting actors to do animated characters like they do with The Simpsons. Like Dan Castellaneta, Julie Kavner, they already had shows before, but barely any experience doing voice acting before doing The Simpsons. And suddenly they're best known as Homer and Marge.
That happens.
Yeah. Yeah, like Bob Bergen. I don't know if you know who Bob is, but he's Porky Pig and Tweety for Looney Tunes.
Right.
And,
yes, I do know him. Yes.
Yeah. And he did a lot of background voices in movies like Toy Story 2, Shrek 2, Lilo and Stitch, Monsters Inc., Cars, Finding Nemo, WALL-E. And I said to him, how does it feel for you that you just come in to do these characters that people really have to listen to be like, oh, it's that guy? And he's like, well, who's going to get more box office buzz? A regular voice actress doing Dory or Ellen DeGeneres doing Dory?
Yeah, exactly. No, I know. It happens all the time. Actually, I did all the guide vocals for Katherine Heigl in The Nut Job. So I was Andy. I think it was Andy. Is that what her name was? But anyway, so
I do remember that movie. It's just been years since I've seen it.
Yeah, but I'm not, people don't know who Katie Griffin is, so they need the star power and whatever.
And again, not to be confused with a very, very famous Kathy Griffin.
Exactly. Totally different. We don't even look remotely similar, but anyway, yeah.
So, as I mentioned in the intro, for one single season of the show, Max and Ruby, you played one of the title characters. I mean, that show's taken on quite a life of its own for 20 years. How did you get that character?
So it was early days. So it was after Sailor Moon. I was doing I think Nina Harper on Braceface, and then I auditioned for Max and Ruby, and but Rosemary Wells.
Yep.
Yeah, so she wanted a celebrity, so that's why I did one season, because Samantha Norton. I don't know. No, who came in after me? Anyway, she was a British celebrity. Rosemary Wells is also British, and so they really wanted a celebrity for Ruby, which was so sad because I've never been let go of a cartoon before, but they replaced me, and I was devastated. So Ruby is a really funny thing for me because I don't know. It's bittersweet because I had fun. I love the bunny. I love both of them. I love the show. I like the music, and her drawings are incredible. I love the books. But then I was
just wondering that if you had to read the books before doing this, or if you ever had read the books before doing this show.
No, I hadn't. And I didn't even know anything about it. And then, of course, when I booked it, then I educated myself and looked at the books, and I thought, this is the cutest thing ever. And not to just be self-promoting or anything, but I'm a new bunny right now. I'm Super Buns. And Diane Credenzer has also written a book, and her book, it's amazing because Super Bun saves the world with kindness. And I have such a love for this bunny. She's my favorite bunny. I'm just going to say that right now. I love Ruby was great, but Super Buns is my favorite. I do have favorites.
Yeah, there was such a big difference between Max and Ruby as characters. As I was getting ready for this, one of my friends said to me, "Was Ruby supposed to be Max's mother or something?"
I know. See, where were the parents? I
Yeah,
know.
they've had the parents on the show recently.
I know. Yeah, I know that. I
Okay.
think my friend Linda Ballantyne is the mom.
Oh,
So
okay.
but the thing is, I even at Comic Cons, because people ask me about that all the time. I I think because they were always like, Ruby was so bossy. Why was she so bossy? Well, she was bossy because she was 9 years old looking after her brother without any. I don't know, but yeah.
This just turned really sad for Max and Ruby's case. Kind of makes everyone wonder where the hell the parents were.
I know.
They just abandoned Ruby to watch her
I,
younger brother, who speaks one word sentences.
exactly. Exactly.
But what I
So
like about that was that even with one word, you could still tell what he was trying to say because his own like physical movement.
yeah.
Like my particular favorite from those early days of Max and Ruby was Ruby was trying to give Max a bath.
Yeah,
I'm sure this one's really popular on the internet these days.
it is. And he brought
Yeah,
in the
the
orange.
orange ice cream first,
Yeah.
and then he dumps it in his bath water, which
Yeah.
and people and a lot of people are probably like, oh, that's disgusting. You just sit in your bath water. How disgusting would it be to have ice cream with your bath water if it's
It
that
wouldn't be
gross?
great. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
great. But that said, I do like, I don't know if you've had them before, creamsicle.
Oh
Creamsicle.
yeah.
Yeah. So every time I would see that, I would think of that. And so I could picture the flavor of it. And I'd be like, yeah, you're right. It's not great, but it is creamsicle, which is great. So I don't know. These are the things that go through my brain. And then of course I'm craving creamsicles every time I see the bath water. Yeah,
I'm glad that
weird.
I was able to help out with some of that.
Yeah, way to go.
So for you, what are some of your favorite Max and Ruby moments?
Well, that was a good one.
Okay.
There was another one where Ruby was just practicing the piano and she was trying to do Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I don't know. When I look back at all of them, every episode was adorable. I don't have a favorite. If I had to choose, I would pick the bath one. I base it on my Ruby. Like I base it on how angry or stern she was. And when she
I never always considered her angry or stern. She was definitely more of a parent figure to Max than I saw.
yeah. But when I watched it, I would always think I could hear my own tone, so I know me. So with the bath, I actually really liked it because I felt like she was like, "No, Max. Oh, Max. Oh, Max." And it wasn't angry Ruby going, "What are you doing? That is bath." So I look at it that way, and I think that's one of the reasons I love that episode because I actually think Ruby was being super patient.
Mm. Well, as you were saying that, there's two moments that just came into my mind. One was, I mean, I don't know this episode order of these because when I would just watch them, it'd be like, oh, cool, Max and Ruby's on.
Yeah.
But so maybe some of these you weren't Ruby for, I don't know. But one of them was where Ruby was trying to catch the bus to go to Louise's house to play, and they kept on missing it because Max kept wanting to bring a toy. And that episode actually ended kind of nicely because there's no more buses coming for a while after, and Louise makes up for that by taking a bus to Ruby's house instead.
Problem solved. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and I love that. I don't remember that one, so maybe that wasn't me. I don't know though.
okay.
This was 30 years ago. Or
Right.
25 years ago for me. So there are certain episodes, if you brought them up, I'd say yes. I remember like there were gummies and there was dirt, and I remember
The worm cake, yes.
Yeah, the worm cake. That's right. Yeah, I remember that one. So there were
well, that one, the bus one, made me realize when I watched it, Louise is actually a really, really, really good friend to Ruby.
Great friend. And in real life, she's my friend too. So Julie Lemieux played Louise, and she's actually done a billion things too. She's like, she's someone you should have on your show.
That's actually somebody I want on my show because I know her from a bunch of other things. One that came up on my recommendations on YouTube just the other day, I was kind of surprised. Monster by Mistake. I forgot about that show.
Monster by Mistake. I remember that.
That was
a long time ago.
But yeah, another Max and Ruby that's coming to mind is another one involving Ruby and Louise. I just love these friendships on these kids shows. Because when you get older and you watch them, you kind of realize, oh, I can see it in my own friendships.
Yeah.
But Ruby and Louise were having a sleepover, and Max kept bugging them with his fire engine and ambulance and robot.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I
Louise.
remember,
Yeah, Louise didn't care. She's like, okay, cool. Ruby's like, Max, this is a sleepover for girls. And I'm thinking to myself, he lives in your house.
yeah. I mean, you can't get away from it. Exactly.
Another popular franchise that you've been involved in is the Care Bears, where you got to do Laugh a Lot Bear in various stuff.
So Laugh a Lot Bear was, first of all, she was adorable because she was little. Laugh a Lot Bear, I was in Journey to Laugh a Lot. I think I was only in the movie because I only remember being in there once, and she's little. But the thing is, all I ever did with that character was giggle. She didn't talk. She just giggled all the time. She laughed a lot. So it was fun. It was fun because we all recorded together. So I was in the room with Champ Bear and all the rest of the bears, and I was all just kind of excited to be a part of it. But really, Laugh a Lot Bear was just, that's all she did.
Still cute. I mean,
yeah, it's still fun. Yeah. It was a great job. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. And one you brought up earlier was Nina in Braceface. I have watched Braceface. Nina, of course, is the bully type character, which is the total opposite of you. What was that like to play that character?
Well, to be honest with you, playing bad guys is super fun. So she was the villain, and she was just awful. There was a little bit of an arc. She got better as the show went on, and towards the very end, I think she was good. So, but it is fun to play a villain because as an actor, the versatility and I don't know. I just had a lot of fun with Nina Harper. And again, it was early days because it was after Sailor Moon, and I was in my early 20s, and it was a fun part for me. And because it was original animation and I had just come off Sailor Moon, I was probably still recording Sailor Moon because we did so many episodes. But the freedom you have, again, as an actor, when you're in a room, especially ensemble, which means all the other actors are recording together, and you're acting and recording, and then they draw your character later. So you can essentially work off one another. So if the script calls for everybody in the room, the best example is I did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the television series.
That's right. And I see behind, I know that none of the listeners can, but I can see behind you, Sam Sparks there.
So Wyatt, my kid, drew that for me. He's a pretty good artist. Yeah.
He did a great job. Wow.
Yeah, thanks.
At first, my first thoughts was that there was just a fan drawing, but wow, that's amazing.
That's Wyatt. Yeah, he's pretty good. That's funny. I didn't even notice that. I've got I'm going to show you a Sailor Mars. Okay, I'm getting really close to the camera here, but I'm moving in. Too close, Katie. Too close. He did this one too.
That is so cool.
Yeah, he does all kinds of things, and then he signs the bottom. So I'm going to get that one framed.
He's your biggest fan. Wow.
He is my biggest fan. They have whiteboards in there. I have two boys. I have Jet and Wyatt, and I go and they have whiteboards to organize their day and their school stuff. And I go in and I always autograph it. Mars, Fire, Ignite. These are the games I play.
When their friends come over, that must be quite the topic.
No, I know. Yeah. No, they erase it right away. They think it's hilarious. Then they'll sign their own names on their own whiteboards. It's hilarious.
So with Nina, I kind of have been binging a little bit of Braceface. I've been doing, I do my research for these shows by watching a lot of these. And with Braceface, I recently have been kind of writing my own like teen animated drama type show, kind of like a little bit more edgy than Braceface. And as I was kind of watching Braceface, I thought the dynamic between the main character and what I've created against this very fake popular girl in mine is very, very similar to the relationship in Braceface when it comes to Nina. And one that I'm of course thinking about is when Nina, I'm trying to remember the main character in Braceface's name. Sharon, thank you. One of my favorites is when Sharon wants so badly to go to a concert, but her mother's like, I'm not letting you camp out for tickets. This was before iPhones, so you literally had to stand in line hoping that it wouldn't sell out for days and days and days. And of course, even when phones were invented, during the popularity of Taylor Swift and One Direction, people were still doing that. Now they don't do it as much. But Sharon was, of course, really, really pissed off about that. And then her mom came to talk to the school, and Nina realized that she was a really, really cool parent because she was a therapist, so she could give advice. But it annoyed Sharon how much Nina relied on that.
Yeah, there were a lot of little moments. It was a really well-written show, and the messages were amazing. It was pretty good. Because I feel like it was ahead of its time. I feel like animation, the stories that are being told now, are more thoughtful. People are putting a lot of thought into them, and the messages are more thoughtful. So I felt like Braceface was really ahead of its time for the interpersonal relationships and what it was getting out. So yeah.
Mm. While still on the subject of Braceface, going back to the topic of casting really, really famous actors as animated characters, not many people would probably be aware of the fact that Alicia Silverstone was the voice of Sharon for the start of the show. And so did you ever actually get to like work with her or meet her at all?
Yeah, fun fact.
Okay.
I worked with her for Braceface. We did the pilot together, all of us. It was an ensemble. Then I worked with her on camera for a Hallmark movie called Candles on Bay Street, where she was the lead and I was the best friend of Annabeth Gish, if you're familiar with who she is, but she's done a million things. Look her up after, but she's amazing. And Annabeth and I became close friends after that. We were both pregnant at the same time filming. Actually, we were in Halifax.
Oh, nice.
Halifax, yeah. So,
and this was the one that Alicia Silverstone was in.
Look it up. And then some of it was shot, I want to say Gordon's Bay or something. Not Gordon's Bay. I think that's South Africa.
Mahone Bay.
Mahone Bay, yeah. So some of it.
I recently just worked on a show in Mahone Bay, and then another company called me and they were like, "We're doing a feature in Mahone Bay. You want to help out?" I said, "Sure." So I've been there a lot lately.
Yeah, so and it was gorgeous there. It was beautiful. And actually, I remember our hotel, wherever it was, like a lodge somewhere where we were staying, and I just wanted to walk around. I was 5 months pregnant at the time, so I needed to get around, and I wasn't filming the day. So they flew me in. I wasn't filming, and then so I had a day off, but it was gorgeous, and it was Mahone Bay, and I wanted to go see it. Like I wanted to walk there. They're like, "Oh, you can't really walk. Like it's probably half an hour, 45 minutes from where we are." And I'm like, fine. I was walking along the road. Now you're pregnant. Now I'm just thinking, oh God, I don't know. I'm tired now. And then Alicia and her boyfriend, or maybe they're married now. I don't know. Or I don't know who was with her. I'm just going to assume that, or maybe it was her. Anyway, it doesn't matter who was with her, but they pulled up in a car. I wasn't hitchhiking, but they said, "Do you want to ride?" So he drove me into Mahone Bay. And I went, "Yeah, I do. I have to pee. I'm pregnant." No, I didn't say that, but I probably did.
But no, that is so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. She's like the best. She's like the nicest human on the planet. She really is. And also, she looks amazing. She doesn't age. She does not age. Like she just, I don't know what it is.
It's amazing that one of her most famous characters, of course, is a teenager who is kind of like worrying about her own popularity and self-esteem in a live action movie, Clueless, of course. And then she does Braceface, which is animated and pretty much about the same thing, but more about physical traits than typical traits.
And just to, I mean, she's like such an incredible actress that if you listen to Sharon and you think of what was her name on Clueless? It was Cher. Completely different voices, whether it's the same kind of general idea. I felt like her voice for Sharon nobody would say, "Oh, that's Cher from Clueless." So that's what a great actress Alicia is, that she can do those things.
Absolutely. And you brought up back there, talking about characters played by very, very famous people. You brought up Sam Sparks from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, originated by Anna Faris.
Yeah. Yeah, so, she was amazing.
You met her for that too?
No. I'm just saying she was amazing in the movies.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah. That does actually make me wonder if the cast of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs are aware of the fact that there's an animated series based on it where they're all kids, which totally takes the continuity away from the movie.
People say that to me all the time. You know, I think the thing is, we only got 2 seasons. So
Right.
It was Fast and Furious. It was a money thing for sure, but we obviously recorded it here in Canada, in Toronto. And I think it was Sony. So I think there was a money situation, and that's the only reason why it just didn't go any further. And it sucks because I love Sam Sparks. I am Sam Sparks. I'm obsessed with the weather. I'm sure that I put that out into the universe when I auditioned for her, that they probably sensed that I actually am Sam Sparks.
So that was one that you auditioned for as well, right?
Of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I really wanted it. Actually, I had to steal the scripts because I wasn't young enough. Like, they were auditioning like 20 something. And this wasn't that long ago. I was in my 30s, or maybe I was even 40. I don't even know how.
Would have been I remember that show in like 2017, I think.
Yeah, that's right. So not too long ago. So yeah, I'm 51 now. I don't care. Everyone can look it up. So it doesn't matter. So yeah, I was not what they were looking for. They were looking for younger voices, and they were bringing in a bunch of people. And then my friend David Burney, who played Baby Brent, if you watch it, he's done a million things. Did you ever see Rocket Monkeys?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's done a million. Anyway,
I watched a lot of TV when I was a kid, and I even as an adult still kind of do.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Anyway, so he was like, Katie, you have to audition for this. And I said, okay, David, I do want to audition. I am Sam Sparks. So he stole the scripts from the audition, gave them to me. I recorded it at home, sent them in, got a call back, then booked it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. It was a fun one.
It's awesome. And you were also talking about doing live action projects. Like, you were on Are You Afraid of the Dark? Actually, one of my previous guests was also DJ McHale.
Oh, okay, fun.
That's another one that I met at HalCon. I was trying to put together my schedule for HalCon. I'm like, okay, which ones do I want to go to? Because like, you have to plan these things.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, like you can't just randomly show up. I mean, you can, but at the same time, you have to know what it is that you're going in for. And I saw something that said Nickelodeon writer gives a writing workshop, and I'm like, well, Nickelodeon is what made me want to work into the film business in the first place, so maybe this is worth checking out. I didn't know what shows it was. I'd heard of Are You Afraid of the Dark, but I never watched it. DJ still gives me a hard time for that. And so yeah, I went in, and DJ talked about his life, talked about his career, and then started the workshop, told us what needed to be in it, what it needed to start with, and where it could go from there. We got to choose where it could go from there, but we had to start with 4 lines. So I was like, okay, I think this works for the first thing that I ever wrote when I realized film was what I wanted to do. It was also a very teen drama type story. So I kind of just went with that. And then DJ said, is anybody shy to present it? And I was, I don't know. I don't remember how many people presented, but I was the first to go. And yeah, and as soon as I get to the big part of it, he looks at everyone and was like, okay, that is good. That is so good. And the very next day, he was doing a screening of an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I'm like, well, I just met him. Maybe this is worth going to. He took some Q&A. I had been doing set dressing for a TV series at that time. And so I asked about all the locations and how everything was kind of put together. Was it there before? What had to be moved? Stuff like that. Yeah. And when the mic goes to me, he looks at everyone and he says, we have a real writer in the audience today.
Very nice.
The next week, I got a hold of him and I said, hi, we met at HalCon. I'm just wondering, would you like to come and do a podcast interview? And he did.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, nice. I don't think I've met him.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if yeah. He wasn't on my episode.
Okay, he probably would have written it, but yeah, he told us that when an episode by him was written, the name would show up Chloe Brown.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because they didn't want his name all over the show.
That's funny. That's
Mm.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. You were on Are You Afraid of the Dark? You did a movie with Rob Lowe, Too Late to Say Goodbye. And of
Yeah.
course, you've done sporadic characters on Stoked, 16, Total Drama. I love these shows.
Thanks.
Yeah. So when it comes to acting in general, what do you prefer? Do you prefer voiceover? Do you prefer on camera? And in those cases, like, what is the biggest difference for you when it comes to doing those things?
I've been asked this before.
Okay.
My first reaction is always voice work, but I
Okay.
say that, and yet I'm still doing the on-camera stuff. The on-camera is a roller coaster for me. I think the stakes are higher. I think the reward is higher, and this is just for me personally, because it's so competitive. I'm not saying voice work isn't competitive, but I know I'm very comfortable in my skin as a voice actor. So when I audition for something, my batting average is pretty good. And
I
I
love
feel,
that way of describing it.
are you a baseball fan?
I like to watch baseball.
Okay. I'm a huge fan. So is
You'd
Rob
get
Lowe.
along very well
Just
with
a
my
difference.
father.
Okay, well, there you go. And my kid watches, so we're obsessed with baseball. Anyway, so with the on-camera thing, when I book something, it's way more personal in a weird way. And then the big major difference is that it's not just me going into a booth. When I'm doing voiceover, it's me. I just go in there. I could be in my pajamas. I'm never in my pajamas, but I could do that. And the
I'm
stakes
not
are
judging.
I feel like no one would judge if although people know me, so they'd be like, Katie, what's going on?
It's not
Anyway,
like anybody's gonna see it.
well, people are in on the other side of the glass, like, the voice, the
Yeah, but
director.
when they watch it on TV, they're not gonna
Oh, they
think, oh,
wouldn't
the
know.
person
No,
must
they
have
wouldn't.
recorded
So
in their
that's
pajamas.
why with on-camera stuff, it's way more personal. And I know there are a lot more people on set that are relying on me to be on my mark and to memorize my lines and to have, so the stakes are a lot higher. And then when I do book something, because I've memorized 10 pages of dialogue and the competition is a different thing. Not that I never go in thinking, oh, I'm competing against her or, it's just a personal thing. Am I right for this? Am I going to get this? And if I do get it, I feel so proud of myself. So I think on camera acting, because it's so much bigger in a weird way, and you've got crew, you've got 100 people on the crew waiting for you to do all of the things that you're there to do.
Mhm.
It's a lot more intense. And then when you walk away from whatever you're doing, it's so personal. So with a character, if I'm, Sam Sparks, anybody, it's silly and fun and I have the best time ever. But I know what I'm doing and it's going to make people happy. The on-camera stuff is just grittier. It's a different feeling. I did a Netflix series called Grand Army, which is really heavy and it's a high school drama and a lot
Ooh.
of bad things happen and I'm the mom and a lot of crying and a lot of gut-wrenching scenes. And so I would drive home after set and I'd be in my car driving home bawling my head off, not necessarily sad. It's just, it takes all the emotion and every ounce of you to do these things.
You
So
really
that,
got into it. Wow.
yeah. So I feel, I do feel like with animation, when I leave, I'm all happy. Yay, whoa, that's it. And then with the on-camera stuff, it is like intense. Katie Griffin, here you go, take it or leave it. And it's a lot more scrutinized. So
Yeah,
that,
the movie that I recently just worked on, like my job had nothing to do with cameras, but a lot of the people there were like that I was working with. They're like, you want to see how they do the blocking on camera? I was like, yeah,
yeah,
sure. So I
yep,
had a look at it, and then the director calls action, and obviously I can't move a limb when that happens, so I'm
yep,
still right behind the monitor. So
yep.
I'm watching the emotion of this. It's going to be pretty. It's going to be an intense film. That's really all I can talk about when it
Yeah,
comes to
no,
it.
I know. Everything's NDA right now.
A
Everybody's,
lot, of, a lot of my friends are like, you can't say that you're working on a project and not say what it is. And I'm like,
I
okay, well,
know.
here's the thing. If I said what it is, I wouldn't be asked back for
I
anything.
know. I know.
Um,
Welcome to my world. I'm at Comic Cons every month and we do panels. We do like so many panels, and people will say, "What are you working on?" And I'd say, "I'd love to tell you, but I can't."
Yeah, fans, don't do that. Don't ask what are you working on now, because that puts us in an awkward position because we
Yeah.
either can't talk about it or we're not working. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I had a look at the emotion of it. It's going to be pretty intense. I was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely going to stick with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting all of that because I was thinking about when you were talking about doing Braceface with everybody and doing a lot of these other animated shows like with everybody there, which doesn't always happen in animation.
No, it doesn't. For the most part, we go in and we read our own lines, and that's it. And then we leave. And it's fine. It's fine because we all know our characters and we know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're working with other people, you react differently, and reacting is acting, and that's it. So if you're in the
Acting
room,
is reacting. That's
acting
right.
is reacting. Look what I just said and did, and I'm not. Yeah. So that's so yeah, when you're just going in and reading your own lines, it's fine, but it's not as much fun and it's not as rewarding as when you have the whole cast and they're throwing something. And maybe like with Sam Sparks, it was David Burney was in the room, and or Sean Cullen was there, and I don't know, it was a really, really fun day because they'd throw me things and they would ad lib, and then I would ad lib
I
back.
love that. That's
Yeah.
that's even more fun when they ad lib because at the same time you're also screwing with each other.
Well, Mark Edwards, who I worked with, he was Flint. He's a writer, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he would his ad libs were insane, and I would have to keep up. It was like playing catch. Look, baseball again, what I just did. So he'd throw me something and I'm throwing it back, and it was super fun. And that's why if you get a chance to ever see Cloudy, I think you'd like it.
I have seen the
Yeah. Oh,
animated
you have?
Cloudy series. Yeah, like
Oh,
sometimes it's one of the only things that's on when I go to the dentist, and I'm just really no, I'm amused by it because those movies are awesome. I love with the animated show, even though again totally breaks the continuity because in the first movie that's when Flint and Sam first meet.
yeah.
Which kind of makes me think of something on Muppets Take Manhattan. There's a scene where Kermit and Miss Piggy have an argument, and then they're in a horse and carriage, and they make up, and Miss Piggy's like, I didn't mean what I said when I really am terrible at Miss Piggy's voice. I'm not going to try it because it just sounds like I'm losing my voice. But she says to Kermit, I didn't mean what I said before when I said, I wish we'd never met. In fact, I wish we had met much sooner. So in my mind, that's what the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs animation thing is. Like they're just kind of picturing, what if we all knew each other when we were kids? Even the
Yeah.
cop, still a cop. His first job would be a hall monitor at school.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, with the ad libbing, the first time I ever worked on a show out of film school, it was a mix of live action puppets and animation that one of my friends was helping direct. And they're like, "We need some extra people. Do you want to help out?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And because we were a very short crew, we were like a band. The production assistants in general were like a band, so everybody got to do a little bit of everything. It's like, James, you up with cameras? You're doing sound. Okay, swap. We're gonna have you handle all the props.
Yeah.
Again, short crew, so everybody had to do a little bit of something, and
Which is
because of
great. Then you're
yeah,
getting experience and everything, and now you're understanding everybody's department so that you're an expert when you go on set and you do these things because you know what everybody's doing.
yeah, and some of us even got to be in it. And I asked, they asked somebody, can somebody just do some scratch voice for this animated character? And I read the script, and I was like, okay, I think I actually want to do the character, but and I came up with a voice, and they were like, okay, that's good. And I went into the mic. We did it live instead of going to a studio, but I went into the mic imitating Judge Judy. And they asked me to do that for the character. And I'm like, I'm not doing Judge Judy to play this character. But they basically wouldn't let me do anything else. They're like, you watch the show, do some ad libbing. And so I did a little bit of that. Like, do we understand each other? Which was not in the script, but
Yeah.
I added
Ad
it.
libbing's fun. That probably made it. So that was great. Good for you. Good instincts.
Thank you. Well, that's all I've got written down here. Do you have anything that you want to add to wrap up?
Just that if anyone's ever watching Total Drama Island, I'm on the new one. I play Lauren. I play Scary Girl. I just see her in the background, just here. A fan gave me this. This is fantastic. This is her. Super
Oh,
fun.
that's amazing that you're in the new because you were in the originals, is that correct?
I was not.
Okay.
I was not in Total Drama. Oh no, I was in Redonkulous Race.
Okay.
I did 2 different characters in Redonkulous Race, which is the same. It's Fresh TV.
And now you've got a regular in this new one, which is great.
Yeah, so it's super fun. So if you can see it, I think it's on, I don't know. What's the Canadian one? Teletoon or Cartoon Network?
Cartoon Network. It replaced Teletoon.
Okay. See, I should know these things.
Teletoon was the best.
I know. So anyway.
I remember, do you remember Teletoon Retro?
Not really.
That was
I'm sure they play retro shows, so I probably...
Well, it doesn't exist anymore, but they would play like a lot of the classics, like the Raccoons, Bugs Bunny and Tweety show.
Yeah.
I've got a VHS recording somewhere here of Teletoon Retro that I'm going to try to dig out, but I know it exists somewhere here. But yeah, they would play all the Pink Panther, Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Okay, yeah, that's good. They should do that. That's good. People love that, and they should see all that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
And and also watch Super Buns. Super Buns is on Peacock, and here in Canada, again, you think I would know? Maybe
Crave.
Maybe
Because it's funny.
Sounds right.
It's one of my previous guests was Santa Moses, who you're not going to believe it, but did one of the kids in Home Alone.
Right. No, that's crazy.
Yeah, and
you had Denise Oliver on.
Just recently, actually, I had Denise Oliver.
The reason I said yes, so I don't do a whole lot of these because you have to be picky and choosy, but you had 2 things going for you because you were A, Canadian, and B, I saw Denise Oliver was on, and she directed me in Super Buns, and also she's a very super talented human.
Well, I have her contact information in my phone. I'll message her that you said hello.
Yeah, say hello for sure, and tell her the reason that I did this was because I saw that she was on.
Yeah, so, that was very, very recent.
That was recent. So not that I don't want to do these things, but I get asked a lot to do podcasts and interviews, and it's hard to pick, and I can't do them all the time. So I'm taking a mini hiatus from doing it. So every once in a while, one will slide in there. Yours was it.
Well, I'm super honored, and especially because we're almost at episode number 100. Like that's
congratulations.
Thank you. Episode number 99 was actually just announced this week, and to any listeners who are wondering, because I know I've said episode number 100 is on the way, we were talking about it this morning. I can't say much about it yet, but there is some discussion about what's going to happen for episode number 100, and we're pretty excited. And I'm
excited. I'm excited for you.
It's nobody really is officially picked yet, but we've got people. We have some ideas. I'll put it that way. We got some ideas. So yeah, it's going to be surprising. I think it's going to be pretty damn amazing.
I think it's going to be amazing too. And you've been an amazing host.
Oh, thank you very much. It's as I said right before I started recording, when I started this 4 years ago this week, I still can't believe that. You were somebody that I wanted to have on right from the get-go. So when I finally found a way to reach you, I was like, victory.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you for listening, whoever's listening. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. And listeners, you guys know where to go for news regarding upcoming stuff. Facebook.com/Nostalgia Talk, YouTube, Twitter.com/Nostalgia Talk YT. I'm still calling it Twitter. I'm not calling it the other thing. It just, yeah. Like,
me too. I don't even know what the other thing is because I'm old. So it does. I do kind of, but yeah.
Yeah, it makes it sound more risque than it should be. But but I'll see you really soon. Have a good week. Peace.
Thanks for having me on. Take care, James.